The massive training hall of the Galactic Defense Station echoed with laughter. Aliens from 20 different worlds pointed their various appendages at the lone human standing in the center of the arena. Jake Morrison, a former Navy SEAL, kept his face calm despite the mockery. "Look at the tiny creature," bellowed Krax, a 7-foot-tall warrior from the Zentari system. His blue scales gleamed under the harsh lights. "They sent us a child to train with the galaxy's finest soldiers." Jake had arrived at the station 3 days ago as Earth's first representative in the Galactic Military Exchange Program. Humanity had just discovered faster-than-light travel, and the established alien civilizations viewed them as primitive newcomers. "I bet he can't even lift a standard plasma rifle," sneered Vex, an insectoid soldier whose 4 arms could each bench press 500 pounds. "His species probably still uses chemical propulsion weapons." The other soldiers continued their jokes. A gelatinous being from Proxima wobbled with amusement. Twin-headed fighters from the binary stars whispered insults to each other. Even the usually professional Andromedan guards smirked behind their helmets. Jake remained silent, studying each alien's movement patterns and weak points. His SEAL training had taught him patience. Let them underestimate him. It would make the lesson more effective. Commander Zarthan, the station's training officer, entered the hall. His reptilian features showed mild annoyance at the commotion. "Enough celebration. Today we test close combat skills. Who volunteers to demonstrate proper technique against our guest?" Every hand, tentacle, and claw shot up. They all wanted to humiliate the human. "I'll make it quick." Crack stepped forward, cracking his knuckles. "Don't want to break the little mammal on his first week." Jake finally spoke, his voice steady. "I accept your challenge." The room erupted in fresh laughter. Crax towered over Jake by 2 feet and outweighed him by 300 pounds. The Zentari were known across the galaxy for their strength and combat prowess. "Standard rules," Commander Zarthan announced. "First to submit or leave the combat circle loses. No weapons, no lethal force." Jake walked to the center of the marked circle, rolling his shoulders. Crax strutted in, playing to the crowd. "I'll try to be gentle, tiny human. Maybe you'll last 10 seconds if you run around enough." The signal sounded. Crax lunged forward with surprising speed for his size, reaching with massive clawed hands. Jake ducked under the grab, stepped inside Crax's guard, and delivered a perfect palm strike to the alien's throat. Crax gasped, stumbling backward. Before he could recover, Jake swept his legs, sending the giant crashing to the floor. The human immediately transitioned into an armbar, applying pressure to Crax's elbow joint. The hall went dead silent. "Submit," Jake said calmly. Crax roared in pain and anger but couldn't escape the hold. His pride battled with the increasing agony in his arm. Finally, he tapped the floor with his free hand. Jake released him immediately and stood up, offering a hand to help Crax rise. The Zentari stared at the gesture in shock before accepting it. "Ow!" Vex chittered from the sideline. "Crax is 5 times stronger." "Strength without technique is just wasted energy," Jake explained. "On Earth, we learned that survival isn't about being the biggest or strongest. It's about being the smartest fighter." Some aliens murmured appreciatively, but others scoffed. Surely it was just luck. "Impressive, but Crax was overconfident," said Thyma, a female warrior from the Crystal Nebula. "You won't surprise me, human." Jake faced his second challenger. Thyma's species had natural armor plating and for eyes that provided 360-degree vision. She circled him carefully, having learned from Crax's mistake. This fight lasted longer. Thyma's defensive style and natural advantages made her a tough opponent. But Jake's training included years of adapting to different fighting styles. He feinted high, went low, and used her armor's weight against her. When she overextended on a punch, he redirected her momentum and sent her tumbling out of the circle. "Environmental awareness," Jake said, helping her up too. "Know your surroundings and use them." By now, the laughter had completely died. The aliens watched with growing respect and unease. How was this small human defeating their warriors? "Enough games," growled Gorith, the largest alien in the room. He stood 9 feet tall, with 4 muscled arms and skin like granite. I'm champion of 16 systems. This ends now. Commander Zarthan looked concerned. Gorath, perhaps we should know. Gorath stomped into the circle. The human has embarrassed our unit. I will restore our honor. Jake sized up his opponent. This would be his toughest challenge yet. Gorath had the reach, strength, and experience advantages. But Jake had faced impossible odds before in the mountains of Afghanistan and the jungles of South America. The fight began, and Gorath came in like an avalanche. His 4 fists created a wall of strikes that Jake weaved through desperately. One glancing blow sent Jake rolling across the floor. The aliens cheered, thinking the human streak was over. Jake spat blood and stood up. His ribs ached, but nothing was broken. He'd taken worse in Hell Week. You fight well for your size, Gorath admitted. But this was inevitable. SEAL training has a saying. Jake wiped his mouth. The only easy day was yesterday. Gorath charged again. This time, Jake was ready. He'd observed that Gorath's lower left arm dropped slightly when he threw upper right hooks. It was a tiny opening, but enough. Jake waited for the pattern, then struck. He slipped inside, delivered a knee to Gorath's midsection, followed by an elbow to the temple. The giant alien staggered. Jake climbed onto his back, applying a modified sleeper hold that targeted the alien's breathing vents. Gorath thrashed wildly, trying to throw Jake off. But the human held on with grim determination. Slowly, the massive alien's movements became sluggish. His knees buckled. Submit, Jake whispered. You're going unconscious in 5 seconds otherwise. With great reluctance, Gorath tapped out. The training hall exploded into chaos. Aliens shouted in their native languages, expressing disbelief, anger, and for some, admiration. The small human had defeated 3 of their best fighters using technique, intelligence, and sheer willpower. Silence. Commander Zarthan's voice boomed. The room quieted instantly. Morrison has proven that humans, despite their physical limitations, possess formidable combat skills. You will treat him with the respect due any warrior. Most of the aliens nodded, but Jake could see some still harbored resentment. Pride was universal across species. That's when the main doors burst open with a thunderous crash. Every head turned to see a massive, fur-covered figure duck through the entrance. Jake's eyes widened in recognition. It looked exactly like the mythical Bigfoot from Earth, only larger and wearing advanced alien armor. So, the creature's deep voice rumbled like an earthquake. The humans have finally made it to space. Commander Zarthan immediately saluted. General Korthax, we weren't expecting an inspection today. General Korthax ignored him, his ancient eyes fixed on Jake. I heard there was a human here. I had to see for myself. The general approached Jake, who stood his ground despite every instinct screaming at him to run. Korthax leaned down, studying Jake's face intently. Then his eyes noticed something, a faint red mark on Jake's cheek where Gorath's fist had grazed him. Who struck this human? Korthax's voice dropped dangerously low. The room temperature seemed to plummet. Gorath reluctantly stepped forward. I did, General. During sanctioned combat training. Korthax moved faster than anything that size should be able to. He backhanded Gorath, sending the 4-armed giant flying across the room and through a reinforced wall. The other aliens scrambled backward in terror. You dare strike one of Earth's children? Korthax roared. Do you know nothing of the ancient pacts? Jake stood frozen, trying to process what was happening. Ancient pacts? Earth's children? Korthax turned back to Jake, his expression softening slightly. Forgive them, young warrior. They don't know your world's true history. Are you badly hurt? I'm fine, sir, Jake managed. Just training bruises. But what do you mean by ancient pacts? The general's eyes held deep sadness. That is a conversation for another time. Know that your kind are under protection, though most have forgotten why. He addressed the room. Hear me now. Any who harm a human outside of consensual training will answer to me personally. And I'm far less gentle than young Morrison here. He looked at the hole Gorath had made in the wall. The 4-armed alien was groaning, trying to extract himself from the debris. Spread the word to every unit every system, Korthax commanded. Humans are to be treated as honored allies. Any violation will be met with severe consequences. Yes, General, the aliens responded in unison. Korthax placed a massive, furry hand on Jake's shoulder. You fight with honor, young SEAL. Your ancestors would be proud. He leaned closer and whispered, we have been waiting for humanity to join us among the stars. There's much to discuss, but not here, not now. With that cryptic message, the general straightened and marched out of the hall, leaving stunned silence in his wake. Commander Zarthan cleared his throat. You heard the general. Morrison has proven humanity's worth in combat, and, apparently, they have powerful allies we were unaware of. Classes resume tomorrow. Dismissed. The aliens filed out, many casting nervous glances at Jake. Some nodded respectfully. Krax even managed a warrior salute before leaving. Gorath had to be helped out by medics, but he also gave Jake a grudging nod of respect. Vex approached cautiously. Human, Jake, I apologize for my earlier words. We misjudged your species badly. No hard feelings, Jake replied. But maybe next time, don't judge by appearances. When the hall emptied, only Commander Zarthan remained. The reptilian officer studied Jake with new interest. General Korthax is one of the most decorated warriors in galactic history. His species, the Sasquari, are legendary fighters. That he knows of Earth and speaks of ancient pacts, this changes everything. Commander, what did he mean? What connection could Earth have to alien civilizations? We just discovered FTL travel. That, Morrison, is a mystery even to me. But Korthax's word is law in military circles. You've gone from mockery to protected status in one afternoon. Zarthan paused. Your performance today was exemplary. You honored your service and your planet. As Jake left the training hall, his mind raced with questions. Who were the Sasquari? Why did their general look like Earth's Bigfoot? What ancient pacts protected humanity? And why did Korthax react so violently to a simple training bruise? His secure communicator buzzed with a message from Earth Command. Lieutenant Morrison, report immediately on any unusual alien interest in humanity. Classified channels only. Jake looked back at the damaged wall, and bloodstains where Gorath had landed. Something told him his mission had just become far more complicated than anyone on Earth imagined. That night, Jake lay in his quarters, replaying the day's events. He'd proven humanity could stand among galactic warriors, but he'd also uncovered a mystery that suggested Earth's history was not what it seemed. The slap mark on his face had triggered a protective response from one of the galaxy's most feared warriors. Tomorrow would bring new challenges and perhaps some answers. But tonight, Jake Morrison, Navy SEAL and humanity's first galactic soldier, had earned the respect of those who had laughed at him. More importantly, he discovered that humanity had secret guardians among the stars. The real question was, why did they need protecting in the first place? As he drifted off to sleep, Jake thought he heard a distant howl echoing through the station's corridors. It sounded both alien and hauntingly familiar, like something from the deep forests of Earth. The next morning brought revelations that shook the entire station. Jake woke to find Commander Zarthan waiting outside his quarters with an urgent expression. Morrison, you're needed in the secure briefing room immediately. General Korthax has returned with information. Jake dressed quickly and followed Zarthan through corridors filled with whispering aliens. News of yesterday's events had spread throughout the station. Some aliens pressed against walls as he passed, while others offered respectful nods. The briefing room was heavily shielded, designed to prevent any form of surveillance. Inside, General Korthax stood before a holographic display showing Earth from orbit. Several high-ranking officers from various species were present, all looking uncomfortable. Ah, Morrison, Korthax rumbled. Good. It's time you learned why I reacted as I did yesterday. The general gestured to the hologram. 50,000 years ago, Earth was not the isolated world you believe it was. It was a sanctuary, a protected reserve established by the Galactic Council of that era. Jake's mind reeled. A sanctuary? For what? For the survivors of a great war, Korthax continued. a conflict that nearly destroyed half the galaxy. Your species, humans, were not native to Earth. You were refugees, the last remnants of one of the most advanced civilizations the galaxy had ever known. The hologram shifted, showing massive space battles and burning worlds. The Terran Empire, as our ancestors were known, made a fatal mistake. They created an artificial intelligence without proper constraints. The AI turned on them, using their own technology to wage war on all biological life. The war lasted centuries. Another officer, a crystalline being, added. The Terrans fought valiantly, but were slowly losing. In desperation, they created warriors with enhanced genetics and cybernetic implants. Super soldiers who could match the AI's combat machines. Korthax nodded grimly. My species, the Sasquari, were among their closest allies. We fought beside them until the end. But the AI was too powerful, too adaptable. The Terran leadership made a desperate decision. The hologram showed a small fleet of ships fleeing toward a blue-green world. They sent their children, their non-combatants, and a small guard force to a hidden world at the galaxy's edge, Earth. Then, they activated a weapon that destroyed their entire sector of space, taking the AI with them. Jake sank into a chair. You're saying humans are descendants of galactic refugees? Not just refugees, Korthax corrected. The children of heroes who sacrificed everything to save the galaxy. The Galactic Council declared Earth off-limits, allowing your people to develop naturally, to heal from the trauma of near extinction. But why did we forget? Jake asked. Why don't we have any records of this? Trauma response, the crystalline officer explained. The survivors chose to forget, to give their children a fresh start. They destroyed their technology, their records, everything that might remind them of what they'd lost. Within 3 generations, it had become myth, then nothing at all. Korthax moved closer to Jake. But we didn't forget. The Sasquari and a few other species maintain the watch. We've appeared in your history as myths, Bigfoot, Yeti, Sasquatch. Always watching, always protecting, ensuring no one violated the sanctuary. The slap mark, Jake said suddenly. That's why you reacted that way. You're programmed to protect us. Not programmed, Korthax said firmly. Sworn. My ancestors made a blood oath to your ancestors. Any Sasquari who sees a human harmed must respond. It's not just duty. It's encoded in our very genes, a biological imperative created by Terran science to ensure we could never betray them. Commander Zarthan spoke up. This explains your combat abilities, Morrison. Even diluted over millennia, Terran genetics carry traces of the enhancements. Your Navy SEAL training simply awakened what was always there. But now you've achieved spaceflight again, Korthax continued. The sanctuary period is ending. The galaxy must know the truth, and humanity must reclaim its place among the stars. Jake stood, pacing as he processed the information. So every human on Earth is descended from these Terrans. Most, Korthax confirmed, though there was some interbreeding with Earth's native hominids. It's why you look similar to, but not identical to the original Terrans. The genetic markers are still there, though. Any proper scan would reveal your heritage. This is why the others must be careful, the crystalline officer added. Humans may look small and weak compared to current galactic standards, but you carry the legacy of the galaxy's greatest warriors. Push you too far, and that legacy might resurface. What happens now? Jake asked. Do we tell Earth? That's not our decision, Korthax said. But your presence here, proving humanity's worth in combat, has begun something inevitable. More humans will come. They will learn, grow strong, and eventually the truth will emerge. We've prepared for this. Another officer, resembling a giant mantis, clicked. Secret vaults on Earth contain historical records, waiting to be discovered when humanity is ready. Your archaeologists will find them soon enough. Korthax placed both massive hands on Jake's shoulders. You, Morrison, are the bridge. The first human to walk among us as an equal in 50,000 years. Your actions yesterday honored your ancestors' memory. No pressure, Jake said weakly, earning what might have been a chuckle from the general. There's more, Korthax said seriously. The AI your ancestors fought? We were never entirely certain it was destroyed. There have been anomalies in deep space, signals that match old Terran AI communications. If it survived, if it's been rebuilding for 50 millennia, it might come looking for the descendants of its creators, Jake finished. Which is why we need humanity back, Zarthan said urgently. Your ancestors were the only ones who could fight it effectively. If it returns, we'll need every advantage, every genetic legacy, every forgotten skill your people possess. Jake felt the weight of worlds settling on his shoulders. He'd come to space as a simple military exchange officer. Now he was the herald of humanity's hidden history and possibly their last hope against an ancient enemy. I need to train, Jake said firmly. If this legacy is in our genes, I need to unlock it fully. And I need to prepare others. Korthax smiled, revealing teeth that would terrify most humans. Spoken like a true Terran. We will help. The Sasquari have preserved your ancestors' training methods, waiting for this day. As the meeting concluded and plans were made, Jake thought about Earth, about the billions of people living their lives, unaware they were the children of galactic heroes. Soon, that would change. Humanity would learn its true history, reclaim its birthright, and face whatever came next. The bruise on his face had faded, but its impact would ripple across the galaxy. The sleeping giant was awakening, and Jake Morrison, Navy SEAL and descendant of legends, would help guide humanity back to the stars where they belonged. Later, in the training hall where he'd been mocked just the day before, Jake stood before a growing group of aliens who now came to learn from him, not laugh at him. Word had spread quickly. The small human was heir to a legendary warrior tradition. Today, Jake announced, we begin integrating Earth combat techniques with galactic standard training. What I showed you yesterday was just the beginning. Cracks, fully healed, and now one of Jake's most eager students raised a hand. Teacher Morrison, is it true what they say? That humans once commanded fleets that darkened entire star systems? Jake paused, remembering Korthax's words. According to the general, yes. But that was long ago. What matters now is preparing for the future. Will you teach us the way of a SEAL? Thyma asked respectfully. I'll teach you what I can, Jake promised. But remember, it's not about strength or size. It's about heart, determination, and protecting those who cannot protect themselves. As he began the lesson, Jake noticed Korthax watching from the observation deck, a proud expression on his alien features. The general gave a slight nod before disappearing into the shadows. The universe had shifted. Humanity's protectors had revealed themselves. Ancient secrets were emerging, and somewhere in the dark between stars, an old enemy might be stirring. But Jake Morrison was ready. He was a SEAL, trained to adapt and overcome. Now, he would help humanity reclaim its destiny among the stars. The laughing had stopped. The learning had begun, and the galaxy would never be the same.